me from those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States. And of course, good morning to the world receiving our signals via the magic of el Internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by whom? We the people. We the people. It's always about we the people. But you know, guys, without further ado, let's move it on to the geniuses in El Studio with the one and only Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Beba.
And I have sent Jack off again to go ahead and get those ARPANETs back.
All right.
He's yet to do that.
He's yet to get the ARPANET back. Jack, what's wrong, Jack?
Well, it's I think times are changing and it's possible, but we still got a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Well, good morning, Egberto. It is Thursday morning at the radio, the 4th of December, 2025. And let's see, do I have a rant today? Yeah, I guess I do.
All right.
Yeah, on Facebook, of course, they're saying, greatest president ever. He's pardoning criminals. He's pardoning criminals. Hernandez. Now, he just pardoned another one from Texas. Why are you pardoning criminals?
Because he's a criminal.
And, I like this. It's just what I voted for. Did you vote for him to pardon criminals? Seriously?
Look, I just don't get. I mean, it is like some sort of dissonance, right? I'm lost for words. That's a shame, but I'm lost for words.
I could tell. You were reaching for words like, what do I even say about this? I mean, when you look, this thing with Venezuelans, we're going to get those drugs out of America, who's not even anywhere near America, and there's no proof that they're drug boats. They probably look like it, or I don't even know what I'm seeing. It could be AI. They could be putting this stuff out going, this is a shrimp trawler, and then suddenly it's like, oh, this is a drug boat. No. And then Hegseth, of course. What a cluster that is! Oh my God!
Hey, you're on the radio. You're on the radio. I when you said cluster, I said, please don't finish the other part of that cluster word.
Well, you know that I wasn't going to do that.
He's a radio professional.
Yeah, I've been around radio stations almost for 50 years now. Let's see, coming up next May, I started my radio career at KPFT 50 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm surprised that either one of us lasted as long as we have.
Well,
Jack, what you got, man? You got your finger on your phone here and you're ready to start reading something, so let's hear it.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment on the drug boats. If you look at them closely, there are rows across them. Those are water taxis for people to transfer from islands to the mainland. That's what I'm seeing every time I see a picture of one of these boats they bomb.
Oh, yeah, they're saying, well, you don't need 4 100 horsepower Evinrudes on the back end of that boat. How do you know what that is? You don't.
Water taxi.
You don't. You don't know what it is. You're killing people indiscriminately in international waters where we have absolutely no right to be there because we're not at war with Venezuela. Yet.
Mm-hmm.
But here we go.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to read your program today, Egbert. Excuse me. Today's program confronts the political tensions defining this moment. Maine's Senate race signals a revolt against the old playbook as a progressive challenger opens a commanding lead. At the same time, the president sinks deeper into the well of dehumanization, attacking a congresswoman and entire African communities with language meant to degrade and divide. And here at home, Houston faces a crisis of trust as its own mayoral scandal reveals fractures in local democracy. Neil Aquino joins the conversation to access what these battles from Maine to Houston to the White House tell us about shifting terrain of power and the urgency of civic engagement.
It
Civic engagement.
it tells us we're in deep trouble. That's
We
what
are
it
in
tells us.
we're in deep trouble, but we intend to be the ones that get out of that deep trouble, deep trouble. Anyway, before we get started, anyway, anybody else has anything else to say before we get started?
Nope. Let's get
Take
it
it
on the
away.
road.
All
Take
right,
it
let's
away.
get busy, and we'll get busy first by saying welcome, Margaret Ryan from Western Washington, Marge KJ as well, Laura, Stephen Rosenwig, LBW La Profesora is in the house, Dennis Easton, Don Manwy, Cindy River Guthries, Mason Morney, good morning, Morney from Charleston, South Carolina, and Cheryl Elkins, our resident scientist from Massachusetts. Of course, Harry is in from Missouri City. We've got Lisa Blair. I've got to remember that. That is Atlanta, Georgia. And of course, Joe from Los Angeles, California. Today is Aquino Day. It's Thursday. We haven't heard from Brother Aquino, I guess, in 2 weeks. So, Senor Aquino, the founder of the Houston Democracy Project, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. How you doing, my dear brother?
Hello, Birdo Studio, local, global, regional audience. And we're here this morning to discuss some Houston area politics, amongst other subjects. And I wanna tell people right off the bat that there's a Houston City Council election going on right now. If you live anywhere in the city of Houston, you can vote in this election. There is one thing on the ballot. Your ballot will have one item, and that is the at large for city council race between Alejandra Salinas and Dwight Boykins. That's the only thing on the ballot, and early voting is through the 9th of December. Election day is Saturday, the 13th. And I'm voting for Alejandra Salinas. This is to replace Letitia Plummer, who is running for county judge in the Democratic primary against former Mayor Anise Parker. And Salinas, she describes herself as an Obama Democrat. She is an out lesbian, discusses this. A fairly high-powered attorney at a big trial lawyer firm. She's in her mid-30s, I believe, and she has told me and spoken publicly that she will. Is very cognizant of issues of democracy. She has said that she will oppose ICE vigorously and that she will be independent from Mayor Whitmire when necessary. And so she spoke clearly criticizing Mayor Whitmire for hiding Houston's involvement with ICE and HPD's, in her view, over participation with ICE. Now, this is what she says now. If she's elected, we'll have to hold her accountable. This will shock you, but sometimes they don't do what they say once they're elected. I don't mean to breed cynicism amongst our audience, but so her opponent, Mr. Boykins, his name may sound familiar because he was on council before. He's supported by fire and police unions. I can't, that's really where you can stop right there. These fire and police unions who have helped bankrupt our city with their excessive contracts. There have been comments Mr. Boykins has made about how young women should conduct themselves that were very crudely stated. He has significant Republican backing. He is a Democrat. He does have a Democratic voting primary history, but he has a lot of Republican support, police union and fire union support. And I'm voting for Alejandra Salinas. And I encourage you, it's going to be low turnout. I encourage you to vote and to tell someone you know to vote and explain to them what's going on. So that election is through the 9th of December. Election day is the 13th. If you live in the city of Houston, you can vote in this at-large for Houston City Council election.
Boykins, you're saying it's supported by both the fire union and the police union? Wow, double whammy, yeah?
That's what his mailer says. And excuse me, he, when he was on council before, ran for mayor in 2019 against Mayor Turner. That was the election Tony Busby was in, if you remember. And
Mm-hmm.
he in essence was the firefighters union candidate. And Mayor Whitmire, so Miss Salinas comes from some of these same Latino networks that Mayor Whitmire has done well from. And so she's endorsed by Sylvia Garcia. But I've noticed that Armando Wally and Carol Alvarado and some of these folks have not really been out there for her, which maybe gives you the thought that maybe Salinas is for real. I'm very cynical. I believe she believes what she's saying. I do. About ICE. She's talked about someone she knows. She's from the Valley. Talks openly about her mother's mental health issues. I talks about her wife. She says these things. I believe she believes them. And we will see if she wins. But
Well,
replacing Plummer, if Boykins wins, that will move an already overly conservative council further to the right.
yeah, we need first of all, we need young blood there, and having Plummer there before. In fact, it seems like sometimes Plummer, and tell me if I'm right here, but I think it always seems like Plummer was never on uh, the mayor's bandwagon like many others are.
No, Plummer um, at the Plummer got started, and not long before the murder of George Floyd, and she's in her second term now, elected to this second term in 2023, and she was wanted more regulating and monitoring of HPD than did the other Democrats on council, and she fell out with the other. It seemed that she felt out with the other black Democrats on council over this issue and with Mayor Turner. She initially was open to Mayor Whitmire because I think in part she'd had a bad experience with Mayor Turner, but has become very critical of him as well. She has an apartment inspection ordinance that she's been trying to push for years. Next week is her last session of council. She has to resign in order to run for county judge, and that apartment inspection ordinance is supposed to come back. But let me tell you, when I watched that, the apartment association sure has a lot of sway. I watched the recent discussion at council about that apartment inspection ordinance. It has been watered down, and watered down, but it still wasn't watered down enough. And for the apartment association and these city council members, including the Democrats, were overly willing to listen. But she's leaving, and either Boykins or Salinas. This council is, even though it's 10 Democrats and 6 Republicans, and don't believe that stuff about council being nonpartisan. That's horse hockey. Someone tells you that, tell them that's horse hockey. But still, this council is more conservative than it needs to be, and the 10 Democrats do not work together. You can feel tensions between the between the Latino and black members, and then there are 2 white Democrats. Sorry, to state it also crudely in a way, but you can feel the tensions or differences in approach. And Mayor Whitmire has such power that they are more really interested in currying favor with the mayor than they are in working together to hold Mayor Whitmire accountable. And they really don't want to talk about ICE. They are desperate to believe police narratives about ICE. and we'll see how long they can sustain that.
Well, we all know that that ICE, along with any police department that works with them, presents a clear and present danger to anybody that looks anyway like what some consider Latinos and actually Haitian or whatever. So, and when you speak about I mean, whether the council person is going to do as they speak of, let's remember that we have to hold them accountable. One of the things that we normally do is we get enamored with a candidate, and that's not just in Houston, but that's everywhere. We get enamored with a candidate for the things that they say or how eloquent they are, and when it is time to hold them accountable, we don't. I was proud of the Houston Chronicle. You sent me that article last night, how the Houston Chronicle really slammed, and that's putting it kindly,
Yeah.
slammed the Houston mayor, the mayor of the fourth largest city in the country. They slammed him, and they slammed him well. You're no longer in Austin, brother. You are in a progressive town, and not taking appropriate positions. I'm sorry. And yeah, there's something to be said about um, a conservative council in a town like Houston. It is the same as saying Texas is uh, red because Houston doesn't put out its votes in by weight. You know how powerful Houston is, both by population and
Hmm.
demographics and otherwise. If we decided to vote, Texas would no longer be red. And this goes to states all over. We have to stop having the centers of power underperform. Sometimes I wonder if this is not by design. When I say by design, is that even Democrats, I don't know if you remember during the presidential race, you didn't see a lot of action in Houston. You didn't see, you had a couple of rallies, but you didn't see the action in the neighborhoods. And guess who was given quite a bit of action in the neighborhoods? A group called DSA. But as far as the party doing a lot of work throughout the state, the county, for all practical purposes, that was non-existent. But anyway, continue, my brother.
Well, the big action was when Beyonce came. That was,
Ye-
if you remember that.
wow,
That was
and
the
entertainment, yeah.
when Beyonce played at the she didn't play. She didn't sing
No,
at the soccer stadium. Well, that failure to act when they tear up the remaining portion of the Voting Rights Act. So if you remember, there was the redistricting over the summer
right.
in Texas, and that's why the Democratic House members left, and then they redrew those districts. A court, the Fifth Circuit, three judges on the Fifth Circuit undid those midsummer redistricting. 2 days later, the Supreme Court put back
This, yeah, they stated, yeah.
those summer districts, and the argument was heard a few months ago in October, I believe, to get rid of the remaining portion of the Voting Rights Act, which still protects some Black and Latino majority districts. Any day now, a decision could come. Let's presume that it upholds the midsummer redistricting. Could also get rid of the remaining portion of the Voting Rights Act, and so Ron DeSantis in Florida has called a spring redistricting session, and he expressly said that he's waiting for the voting rights decision. So to bring it back to Egberto's comment about not much action in the neighborhoods, when that Voting Rights Act goes, they can draw any district they want, and safe legislators in strongly Democratic districts, that ain't going to be the case anymore. And this will go to your state Senate and state House districts. And this contentment to win in predominantly Black or Latino districts with low turnout. That's not going to carry the day anymore. It's gonna be a whole new world, and there's nothing that would stop the Texas legislature from again redistricting the House districts. So the new gerrymander in California may end up being 49 Democrats and 3
One Republican.
Republicans.
Actually, they have 50. I thought it was 50, but is it 53?
I think they got 52.
Okay.
I think it's 49-3. There is
Okay.
nothing that prohibits, and I've seen it suggested, say, for example, a 35-3 map
In
here
Texas.
in Texas. There's nothing at all that prohibits that.
Let me say this though. This is where I am trying to what I think. I think you're absolutely correct that the Voting Rights Act is gone. I mean, we have heard Roberts talk about this from the time he's
Yeah,
been on the Supreme Court. He just doesn't believe in the VRA. Okay, now he thinks it was a temporary thing, and you would hope that he was right, that the VRA should be
right.
temporary, that you should actually be elected based on your merit. Now, in a racialized society, that isn't the case. But here's what I have to say about it. I think, first of all, I think in a lot of minority districts or districts that are districted in a minority fashion, I think, and this has nothing to do specifically with the VRA. It's to me, it's more the candidates. I have not seen these can because again it's a located district, go out there and really try to get those voter numbers up,
Nope,
right?
nope.
Go ahead. All right.
No, I'm
Yes,
agreeing with you.
I have not seen that, right? And the other thing that I've not seen is and I want to say this with caution. um I want not only don't I see a lot of the voting up, a lot of times in some of these districts, I don't see that these guys are because it's so easy to win, that these guys are necessarily doing what they should in these areas and fighting the way that they should in these areas. So while I am in fact wanting the VRA to continue because I still think it's needed, I want people who win in those districts to do what needs to be done, and that is juice up those voting in those districts like anywhere else. I want them fighting to make sure that voting machines aren't scarcer in those areas than in other areas. I want them on TV saying our neighborhoods are neglected by the system systemically. I want to see that. And those are things that I don't see.
I would, yeah, yes. And we've talked about that. We've talked about that here before. And as the Voting Rights Act um, goes, and I want to reference what you referenced before we take the calls. The editorial from the Chronicle. They have a new editorial editor, Evan Mintz, and they have taken a more aggressive approach to Mayor Whitmire. From the editorial on immigration, he, meaning Whitmire, is maddeningly inconsistent with the federal government's dragnet creating palpable fear in a city with a majority Hispanic population. He needs to show some backbone. He did earlier this year when he rejected Trump's plans for mass deportation. Then he softened his stance, noting that local officers are required to contact arresting agencies if they encounter a person with a warrant. Then the big reveal, Whitmire openly acknowledging at a conference several weeks ago HPD's cooperating with ICE. So there's a couple things there quick. He revealed that they were working with ICE at a forum at Rice University. He couldn't reveal that to all the people who come down to council. right? He revealed that in one of his, meetings with people he was comfortable with. He lied about it for months and months.
That's the word. Hold on a second, Neil. I was wanting to see the word lied in that article. That's one thing I didn't see. Lied
No, no,
in the
hold on, it's
article.
coming, it's coming.
Okay.
And these warrants, these are the immigration civil warrants that were entered into whatever database they use. So you're pulled over and you don't have a criminal warrant. You haven't committed a crime, but you are in that civil database that they juiced up by adding a bunch of names. And that's how. Now, in terms of lying, and you may have seen this. There's a local immigration advocate from an entity called FIEL, FIEL, Houston,
Yeah.
named Cesar Espinoza, and he had an exchange. This was over the 15-year-old boy with autism who ended up in ICE or whatever federal detention for 50 days after being referred to them by HPD. He had gotten
Hmm.
away from his mother, and when I saw him at council, he was brought to council this week. He did not seem to be overly able to advocate for himself. It appeared to my completely non-skilled observation. And just last week, just this week, Whitmire bizarrely accused Cesar Espinoza of an allegation. I won't even repeat it. That's a lie, Espinoza said. Do you have proof? I'm going to change your name to Mayor Whitliar because that's what you are. So the Chronicle repeated that, Mayor Whitliar. I've heard that before, but I think Cesar did the good job of popularizing.
The mayor's
There's
new
another
name.
play on Mayor Whitmire's name that I can't say on the air, um, but Mayor Whitliar, and that made it into the newspaper. That made it into the newspaper. So the
I think it
upshot
was on the
was,
title, right?
let's see here. Yes, the title is "You're Not in
Yeah.
Austin Anymore," referring to Whitmire's um, half century where he amassed
Yes.
a $12 million campaign war chest while you volunteer with your free time for these candidates. You're not in Austin anymore. Whitliar needs to rebuild trust at City Hall. And lastly, it talks about how he lies about stuff like bike lanes. He just less take bike lanes. Plenty of Houstonians loathe them. So what was there to be gained by Whitmire? I keep wanting to use these other names now in my mind when I'm saying it. By being less than truthful about his motives for tearing up the Austin Street bike lane. And that's what he's doing now with the Irvington Boulevard roundabout. And if you're living in a different city, I was just in Cincinnati for 11 days where they have elevated crosswalks, roundabouts, speed bumps on main streets. So you might be scratching your head. He is removing all of the things I just referenced, even if they were just recently paid for. The Irvington Boulevard roundabout just came about in the last year or two with federal funds in part, and he's tearing it up. So it's really something, and it was good to see the Chronicle
Call them
call him
out.
out. It was as harsh as I've seen it.
All right, folks, we're taking telephone calls, whether for local or national news. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Look, you mentioned something about the war chest a lot of these politicians have.
Yeah,
A lot of the war chest, a lot of these politicians have. And what's they get a lot of volunteers out there working for them, right on the streets, in the heat of Houston, in the cold of Cincinnati, in doing all these things. when they have these war chests, I want to point this out to a whole lot of our listeners, right? You get these messages in the I'm bombarded. I'm on
Yeah.
everybody's mailing list.
Mm.
My mailbox is probably 50% of politicians seeking donations, right? And I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with these politicians getting donations, right? That's fine. But a lot of that donation goes to waste. A lot of that donation goes to build up. What does Whitmire have? $12 million in the bank. A local politician with $12 million in the bank. And what they do is they seek people to work for them for free. Look,
Yeah.
folks, invest in independent media, guys. Invest in independent media. Some of that cash that these guys are collecting, you kind of wonder why. Hey, Marnie wants to make sure he's from the Pacific Northwest. Marnie, welcome aboard. I just saw a long message. We have the same problem in Ohio, Beth Andrew says. We're very gerrymandered. Our state has about 55% registered Republicans and 45% registered Dems, which should give us 8 rep to 7 Dem representation. But currently we have 10 reps Republicans and 5 Dems, and Republicans are trying to take at least 2 more seats from us. And for many election cycles, there were no Democratic candidates to run in some districts. Blue Ohio is helping a change. By the way, that they're working all over the country, but the gerrymandering definitely makes it difficult for fair representation. And of course, so many people just do not vote. If more people voted, I feel confident that we could get fairer representation despite the gerrymandering. Look, let me just tell you, you can gerrymander only up to a point. Like I told folks, if the conditions in the country remain as it is right now, the gerrymandering will be actually a help to Democrats, because in order to keep these make a district more Republican, you have to go to an overpopulated Republican district and share the vote, and that means diluting the vote possibility, bringing in more Democrats in a lot of these areas. Beware of what you ask for. That 13-point switch in where was that election? That 13-point switch in Tennessee
Right.
is probative. That wasn't a switch of a bunch of Democrats solely. That's a switch of Republicans throwing their hands up and saying, you know what? Let me try something else. And for those of you that are out there, the activists that are out there, I have a message for you. When you are campaigning in red areas, there are 2 messages to talk to people about. Message number one is, I am not trying to change who you are. I'm not trying to change you from being a Republican to a Democrat. All I'm trying to do is tell you what happens when you vote for each, and you can remain a Republican and vote your interests still. But more importantly, when you go into the ballot box, your vote is between you, the machine, and your God. Remember that. You, your machine, and your God. You can go and vote your interest in that booth and come out and say, yeah, I voted for Donald Trump's guy. Well, remember that. And once people start voting their interests, we'll get the policies we want. Rad, come on in.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on, Rad.
But I forget it. The aspect of
Go
the
ahead, sir.
aspect of political boycotts, the guy said that he was saying that he is sponsored by the fires union and the police union, and blamed them for the fire chief getting it passed for them to get paying back pay. You need to go back to Anise Parker and blame Anise Parker with that. That was going to get passed regardless of them paying the fire department. It might have put the city in debt, which is really not. But that's what's being said. It had to be ended. and you couldn't kick that down the bucket. You couldn't kick that down to the next mayor. And blaming Boykins for it is just kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. Now, Plummer running on a platform on a platform that she's right. She's been trying to. I was down there. She was trying to get the apartment bill and get more inspections. That's not the case. But you need to be looking at Martinez and all these other people that all they do is side with the mayor. I don't think it's a Republican Democratic statement, but the people down at City Hall right now are running with a strong mayor, and he's running the show.
Well,
And
he's going to
for the
get
last
he's going to get a surprise at the next
these
CEC
people are not
meeting.
going to be what?
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Forget that I said that. Go ahead.
Well, you can talk from the suburbs about what goes on in Houston, but Boykins
Rad, let me stop you there,
is
Rad.
out
Let me
there.
Well,
stop
I'm
you.
not in the
Rad,
suburbs.
yeah, but hold on, Rad.
Right.
Let me stop you for a second. I respect you. You're a good correspondent here at KPFT. Don't ever again disparage that I live in the suburb and not know what's going on in Houston as I do my homework. Don't do that. Continue, sir.
Just because you do your homework doesn't know you what's going on in the city.
Sir,
Well,
again, like
Right
I said,
now,
as a reporter, Rad, I've not disparaged you. Don't do it. Continue.
right now, the biggest problem right now is the gentrification of the third ward. They just had a Airbnb just had a big press conference that they were going in and investing millions of dollars into the third ward. That money is not going to keeping people in the community. It's going back to like
Exactly.
Airbnb has a bad record of going in and renting out houses with no type of accountability.
Right.
And more houses in the third ward area are becoming Airbnbs and making people that live there, long term residents that live there, being able to move out because they can't afford it anymore.
Look, Brad, I agree with
What we talk
100%.
about.
100%, I agree with you. And if you
Shabazz has
listen
been a
to
one.
my Brad, let me speak for a second, my dear brother. I agree with you 100% on that. And this program has covered that with gentrification as well. You're absolutely correct. And what I think a lot of folks should be doing in that district, those representing those districts, is fighting against that. Please tell me which politician you have seen really come out strongly against the gentrification in your neighborhood or against what the Airbnb has been doing. Please name me one.
One politician has been doing it. Well,
Question asked.
Hamlin, she's been fighting against that. She's been saying that for years. She doesn't represent the third ward, but she's been fighting it in the Montrose. That's what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
She has a long record. She's the only one that's standing up against the mayor, by the way.
You made my point, sir. That's the point I
well,
was trying to get across.
let me say
Go
a couple
ahead,
things.
Neil.
Let me say a couple things. To the extent it's germane, actually, both of us live in the city limits. Both Egberto and I live in it. So I don't know what the definition of suburbs is, but actually, both Egberto and I live in the city limits of Houston. I didn't blame Boykins for the situation with the firefighters. I recall from October of 2024 an article in the online Politico, in the online political magazine Politico, that specifically cited the leadership of the Houston Firefighters Union for causing the International Firefighters Union to remain neutral in the presidential race between Harris and Biden. They had a direct hand. The fire union and the police union have consistently endorsed people on the right. And that is in good part what I'm getting about with Boykins. And then also, Mayor Turner, right, the firefighters dispute is long standing, during which firefighters were consistently, openly disrespectful of civilian authority. And now we have a contract that is putting the city at financial peril, although it should be noted that our revenue cap that we voted on ourselves and the council continues to refuse to even do a garbage fee. So it's not exclusively the fault of the firefighters union and the police union. You don't get the sense that they care. I don't need anyone like Dwight Boykins who's comfortable with those folks. And in addition to his significant Republican support, his voting against the against HERO, which would have enshrined protections for all Houstonians. There's a full bill of particulars against Mr. Boykins.
The fact of the matter is, I could never vote for. Hold on a second, Rad. Let me just respond to my brother here. I could never vote for somebody who voted against HERO, especially if that is a person of color. Especially, and there's a reason why, because we understand what being discriminated against is all about. So therefore, I could not. Continue, my brother, Rad.
Is the whole aspect of working together with people. The police union has always been voting and supporting conservative candidates. So that's out the door. The fire department, though, you have to work with these people. You know, and that's the deal with Boykins getting the support of the fire and police union. He has worked with them before on various issues. You should be more concerned of the people that's now on city council that's pushing the homeless out, like Martinez and some other Latino council members.
I'm happy to. I can speak to that as well. Yeah,
consistently against the homeless.
Go ahead,
sure.
Neil.
Well, I mean, the Boykins-Salinas race is that election is now. There is a whole new with the homeless. I mean, my belief is that they are moving the homeless out of the East End, out of downtown, because what they care about is the World Cup next year, the World Baseball Classic, which is here for a week next year at the baseball field, and worst of all, the Republican convention. And so what all of that is connected to the closing of Polk Street, the expansion of the so-called civility ordinance, which says you can't sleep or even put your stuff down on the sidewalk. And to get to the point being made, Mayor Whitmire promised when we expanded the so-called civility ordinance, and it's now easier to expand it than ever before. They've eliminated some of the process. He said they would not be issuing citations to homeless people. And the citations went up immediately to homeless people. So, yes, as we have talked about here before, they are pushing the homeless out into other parts of the city. And this is consistent with Trump. They are getting rid of what they called a housing first approach to homelessness. And New Mexico, we talked about that. I think we brought this subject up here, I think 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, we have.
In New Mexico, I saw an article where they had a homeless camp already, and they had barracks that looked to me like an internment camp for Japanese people in the Second World War. So, yeah, they're pushing those people out for these events coming up.
A lot of this has to do with the prison. Go ahead, Rad, and then I'm going to move on.
I'm not trying to take up your show, but
no, Rad.
The Republican convention before, what they did was they had encampments for the homeless. They moved they bust the homeless out of the city, out of harm's way, so to speak, with what was used in the Democratic mayor that supported this, and they moved them out of the city until these events are over. And because now they're giving you got to talk about the way you see the homeless. That still hasn't been addressed. So
a lot of it, Rad, Rad, I need to move on, but I want to say first of all, folks, that is Rad Rich, our brother here at KPFT, reporter with. Tell us how they can get to your program, Rad.
People's News, HD2, I think.
Yeah, what time?
HD2 today at 9 a.m. and Sunday originally Originally aired on Sundays at 12 p.m.
All right. Well,
Unfortunately,
look,
on HD.
don't say that. I told you to stop saying that unfortunately stuff, man. Anyway, hey, brother,
Well,
keep up the good work, Rad.
but
We'll talk later, all right?
Neil, I'll see you soon, Neil.
Yes, sir. Good. Yep.
Have a
Right
good
back
one.
at you.
Take care, Rad. All right, let's go to Betty. Come on in, Betty.
Good morning, Alberto.
Good morning, beautiful. Talk to me.
Yeah, this is about school bus drivers. I learned in 1990 that I still see them at the grocery stores, and they should not be shopping for groceries or any place they're not supposed to. They do need a raise. The taxpayers don't like to see that. I learned in 1990, but I still see them around. And I'm sure your wife knows that. And anyway, I want to say I'm going to vote for Houston, the ex-mayor. She did not please all the people, which you cannot. She made her house a home, raised kids, dogs. I will let her be my judge. And this is to Howard about the MAGAs, who talks. I get a Christmas card with money and a few words from my white supremacist nephew. He always gets a dig in me. He said, with the way the things are now and Biden's inflation, he blames and blush. Oh, Biden. Okay. Love y'all.
Love you, Betty.
How about that, Howard?
Howard, I think she addressed you, Howard. She called you out,
She did.
Howard.
Well, that's okay. She can call me out. That's fine. We
I
love
think she
Betty.
called you. I think she called you out on the positive side, if I understood her
Yeah.
correctly, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we love Betty. I always look forward to her calls when I hear when she's on. A lot of times I'm up in my office and I go, "Oh, Betty's on. I better turn this up." She's got something interesting to say.
And you know what I love? I think Betty must write her stuff down because she goes one line after the other, and then she's like, "Love you, bye." I love me some Betty.
Mhm.
Thank you for calling in,
Oh
Betty.
yeah.
Anyway, Neil, let me just give a little salute to Ledenoob. Is it Ledenoob? Ledenoob. I like that Ledenoob name that we have. Lee the Bearcat from Austin is in with us as well. And of course, we had quite a few more join us in the Substack chat. Quite a few. Jenny School, Marnie. Thank you guys for being here. Glenn Wright. Glenn, we got to set up something, Glenn. You're a great guy. We got to set up something. Let me know so that we can also get our MAGA guy to join us. All right? Let me know. Neil, what else is up? I got some other stories, but but beforehand, I want to play something for the audience before we move on. This is our president, guys. This is our president. I want you to listen to this. This is the president of the United States. This is the president of the most powerful country in the world. This is the president of the country that believes it is exceptional, that tries to tell folks, be like us. Listen to this.
We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. They came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country.
Now tell me, what is the rest of the world supposed to believe as they hear the president of the United States calling people from other people from around the world garbage, and specifically a duly elected congresswoman garbage? when he talks about people garbage. What do you think it does to the rest of the population? Don't you think, or not think? No, it foments hate. It creates a hate permission structure. When we talk about this president, I remember when Obama did absolutely nothing to foment hate around this country. But somehow, everything that they did, the right attempted to turn it into some sort of a hateful act, even though it never was. But here we have a president explicitly talking about the rest of the world, people in different places of the world, specifically the parts of the world with people of color, garbage. This is the president of the United States. It is shameful. And all of those who elected this person, who elected this person that is pretty much behaves like less than a human being. How do you feel now? Do you feel justified by his actions? It is shameful that we have to go through this and that we have 3 more years of this to live with. 3 more years of this to live with. You know, I after I played that yesterday afternoon, and then I played an interview that I did with Ilhan Omar. And if you hear the contrast between Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, and the president, the love that she has for country, the respect that she has for Constitution, the respect that she has as an immigrant. As I interviewed her, we spoke as 2 immigrants. Check that out at our YouTube channel whenever you get a chance, or check out this program we did yesterday. That kind of hate that you heard from the president contrasted with the love you heard from Ilhan Omar in the interview that I did with her is probative. Go ahead, Neil.
Let me address that. I read a column yesterday. I subscribe to the Economist magazine, and I read a column that I've been thinking about ever since I read it, and it crystallized what I knew. But they think they're fighting for Western civilization. Here, Mr. Trump's recent pledges to expel American residents, quote, non-compatible with Western civilization. This is all connected to these right-wing governments that they want in Germany, France, and England with reform part. This is a conversation entirely for another day, but they, in its fullness, but they do not believe that anything other than whiteness is compatible with their concept of the West,
And
of
that
Europe,
is, yeah.
Canada, the United States, and it is the most dangerous stuff. It is the most dangerous stuff, and it is underlying these fights about the Somalis, and anyone with brown skin as they round them up through their ICE secret police.
You know, it is so sad. I mean, having a diverse population, there is so much. There is so much good. There is so much. When you can do. I'm lost for words right now. Let me go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny. Line number 2. We don't have a lot of time left. Johnny, line number 1. Line number 1. What am I saying? I'm getting old. You're on, Johnny.
Classy lady. Ilhan Omar's a classy lady. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yep.
She's a woman of grace, style. She's well-spoken. When I see and hear her, I feel so good. She makes people around her feel good. I never hear her complain about how she's ill-treated by people like him. She doesn't talk about how the vote is rigged against her. The vote is rigged against her. He's a martyr. He is a martyr. He's a criminal. He smells. And he's got the nerve to talk about a woman like that. If I wasn't afraid of getting stink all over me, I would spank him.
Behave yourself, Johnny. But let me tell you, Johnny, talking about a nice person. You know, when I met her I don't, for those who saw the interview at the end, I said, this is the last question because I know you're tired. This woman was she did so much at Netroots. She was running all over the place, and I just kind of pulled her aside. And actually, I pulled her husband aside first. He was acting as her spokesperson and say, "Hey, I really need to talk to her." And he's like, "Man, she's so tired." Ta 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 ta. And then she just came and said, "Let's do it." Let me just say, nothing. When you speak about grace and class, you're exactly right about that. Grace and class. That young woman. Grace and class. Hey, but Johnny, I
And
got to go.
okay, tell Donald to take a long walk off a short pier. How about that?
All right. Thank you, Johnny. Our regular. Let me throw it to the studio, and then we'll close with Neil.
I just really can't believe that anybody would support Donald Trump. I just don't get it. He has no manners whatsoever, no filters. He's a criminal. He pardons criminals. How does this man have any support at all? That would be
man.
my input. Jack, what you got? Jack says he's good, so take it away, Egberto.
Neil, give me a closer, and please remember to tell folks how to get to HoustonDemocracyProject.com.
Right. I'm at the Houston Democracy Project. I have a blog that I update frequently, HoustonDemocracyProject.com, Houston Democracy Project. There's a Houston City Council election. If you live in the city of Houston, you can vote. It goes through the 9th of December. Election day is the 13th. I am voting for Alejandra Salinas, and then if elected, the minute she's elected, I will work to hold her accountable. She says she'll be tough on ice, independent from the mayor when necessary, and we will hold her to that should she be elected right off.
Don't forget, folks, HoustonDemocracyProject.com is where Neil has his blog and information. And I just found out last week that Neil and I are going to be at the same function as speakers. It'll be great seeing you over the weekend, Neil. Anyway,
Yep.
folks, love you all. And thank you for being here in the chats, very active. You can send me info at you can talk to me directly at kpft@politicsandright.com. You can go to the newsletter for the rest of the show at politicsandright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government buy-in for the people. Georgia was one of the first states to pass sweeping voter suppression laws after the 2020 election. Among many major changes,